What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with the power rankings for week 16 of the MLB season. The short little stint after the All-Star break moved a few teams around here and possibly a new number one. Well, looks like you're going to have to stay till the end of the video to see who that is. But in the meantime, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Hit that like, comment below where your team ranks or what you think should be your team's ranking. But let's get into it here with 30th, staying with the Nationals. Biggest thing there, Juan Soto in July. Obviously, he's having a good month here. But is he going to get dealt at the deadline? That's the big question mark looming. Almost every team should be in the sweepstakes for Juan Soto just because of the generational talent he is. But if you miss out there, you can still go for Josh Bell or Nelson Cruz. Those guys are likely to get dealt as well. 29th, staying on the trade deadline topic, we got Frankie Montas. He's a very high contender that's going to get dealt to a team that needs a contender as well. With that 3.16 ERA, 105 Ks, he's definitely an arm you want to add to that rotation. But this A's team's been playing some good baseball. On a positive note, 9-8 in their last 17, playing in competitive games, and it's something you like to see here. But this week they got a tough schedule. 28th, we have the Reds. ERA, it's been tough for them. Tough pitching, in that ballpark there in Cincinnati. It's not favorable to pitchers already, but their rotation isn't helping as well. Luis Castillo has been the only bright spot, and he's more than likely going to get dealt at the deadline with his 2.77 ERA, 82 Ks, and 78 innings pitched. He's been a beast down the mound and really given the Reds an only chance to win. Tyler Stevenson, he's on the IL with a broken clavicle. Could end his season depending on how they, take this. But, it's not looking good for him. Joey Votto, he's making TikToks now. And when he does, they're 4-0 on that game day when he makes TikTok. So maybe he needs to keep that up more. The Tigers, the Tigers. Where do I start? Well, they're dropping down here, of course. Kings of the IL. 2-11 in their last 13. They're last in the MLB with home runs and with 54. And the next closest is 74, which is the Guardians. 20 more, and that just is all you need to know for this Tigers team. This week, they're playing not some good, baseball. It's going to be the Padres, then it's the Blue Jays, I believe. Not a good week for the Tigers. 26th, we have the Royals staying pat, and Benintendi is, I think, going to be the big thing here around the deadline from now until then. Is he going to get dealt? More than likely, just because of how good he's been. They can get a good return for him and add to that good young core. 25th, we have the Cubs, Wilson Contreras. He's more than likely going to get dealt as well. Top catcher on the market. Which teams need him? A lot. You always can add a good hitting catcher and defensive catcher as well. Stroman, he could be that way as well. If he gets dealt, he's on a one-year deal. But they're on a positive. They won 4 in a row. It kind of surprising as well. They did lose 9 in a row. And then now they're winning 4 in a row. So they're one of the most inconsistent teams in the MLB here. Let's see if they can keep that winning streak going against the Pirates. 24th, we have the Angels, and 3-14 in the last 17. They really fell off. Trout's on the IL. Ohtani's carrying. And that's all you need to know. But hold breaks here. Could Ohtani get traded? I think so. It really could be done. Obviously, he's got a year and a half left. He's got this year and next year on his contract. So you could also give him for next year. And I think there's a few good teams that really can make a good offer for him. 23rd, we have the Pirates, 2-6 in their last 8. Hitting's been very bad. And somehow, some way, they're still a fun team to watch on the field because they play very competitive baseball. But Brian Reynolds and Jose Quintana, they're probably the ones that are going to get dealt. And if you haven't got the theme here, a lot of these low teams are probably just going to talk about which candidates are going to get traded. Or maybe next week's video, which ones have been traded and what they got back in return. 22nd, we have the Diamondbacks. They're bottom 10 in hitting and pitching. The NL West has been slowing them down all year. I've been saying it. This team at one point was around 500, I believe, at the beginning of June. But then they've started to fall off. But could Bumgarner get dealt with 3 years? Who knows? To bring up some young prospects. Ketel Marte, he's playing really good after his terrible start in April. But they have 6 tough games this week. Rockies at 21. They got swept in Milwaukee. And it's not how you want to come out of the break. You got to at least win 1 there. But at this point, it's going to be a lost cause because they're going to start dealing at the deadline as well. They got 7 games this week to finish up that Milwaukee series. Then they go home for the White Sox and the Dodgers. 20th, we have the Rangers moving up a spot. Yeah, they're 7-14 in the last 21, but they didn't get swept out of the All-Star break. Martin Perez, There were some rumors of going around that he might get traded, but it's more than likely that he is going to sign an extension with the Rangers sometime soon. He really wants to stay there in Texas. Good news for the Rangers as well as they look to compete in the upcoming years. Tavares, he is absolutely mashing right now. In July, as you can see stats there. And I think this team is still in the running for a wild card spot. They really haven't hit their stride yet. Seager's finally coming into it. Same with Simeon, the two big guys they brought in, and Adolis Garcia. He's having a good year. And if all these guys can start picking it up, get a little more production by the end of the lineup, I think this team, could really make a push for it. Marlins coming in at 19. Sandy Alcantara, obviously been the best pitcher in baseball so far this year. It's been great to see him, but after that, this whole team is just injury prone. Jess Chisholm, could he be out for the year? They placed him on 60-day IL yesterday. Soler got put on the 10-day IL. Max Meyer to the 10-day IL. But Eduardo Cabrera and Jesus Luzardo, could they be back this weekend to rejuvenate that rotation? That's going to be the big question there. Red Sox taking a huge fall here after I don't even know what kind of performance you want to say that Blue Jays series was. The 28-5 game, inside the park grand slam. Duran has no clue where the ball is. I mean, it was just a bad weekend for Sox fans there. On some positive notes, Story looks like he's going to be back from the IL this week. Could Devers and Barnes too. And I think an interesting topic would be, could this team start selling off some key pieces here at the deadline? A lot of these guys are either going to be free agents at the end of this year or have 1 year left. And if they want a good return, I think now would be the time to do so. But we're going to have to see how they play this week against Cleveland and Milwaukee all at home. And if they start fading, I'd say about 4 or 5 games under 500, they might honestly get rid of some pieces. 17th, we have the Giants. They got swept in LA to the Dodgers. So I had to drop them here. They're middle of the pack, which is why they're here in the middle of the pack in the rankings as well. But are they going to be consistent at the end of the year to sneak into a wild card berth? I don't think so. But we saw it last year with the Giants and how good they were somehow, some way. And we're going to have to wait to see if Brandon Crawford can get back as well. He's a key piece missing from that lineup. They need his bat and his defensive skills as well, as they have some very manageable games this week at Arizona and versus the Cubs at home. 16th with the Orioles, who I'm still shocked that are around here. Around 500. I think this team could finish around 500 as well. They're 12-4 in their last 16. They played the Yankees very competitive at home. But this starting pitching has been holding them back for the whole year in these 95 games. It's just been tough for them to really get anything going with that starting pitching, not really having a solidified ace. 15th, we have the Guardians moving up some. They're 3 games back from Minnesota, though, for that AL Central lead. And there's another question around them is, are they going to, try to go for the playoff push, or are they going to get rid of a few guys, kind of hope for next year, or are they just going to stay pat? And I think they're kind of in that stay pat category. They have a good rotation. The bullpen's okay, but it could use a little work. But are they going to, want to invest a little into that, get rid of some guys to make it good for this year? Maybe, but hitting is starting to pick up. They just haven't been healthy this whole year. They finally are now, and we just are waiting to see this Guardians team, get on a long stretch. 14th, we got the White Sox moving up. They're at 500 right now. 10-5 in the last 15, and all signs are pointing to them, starting to really make a push here. I know they're 4 back in the AL Central, but they got a lot of games to go against the Twins, and they can easily, win a 4-game series, and boom, just like that, they're tied. But they just need to stay healthy. Luis Robert placed on the IL yesterday, I believe. I think it's 3rd or 4th time he's been on the IL this year. But all the other guys have been really, keeping pat, stepping up, and being, key pieces to this White Sox team to stay in around 500. 13th, we have the Phillies, and they are dropping a spot here just because they got swept in Chicago. And that's why they're one of the most inconsistent teams in the MLB. What did they rip off? Like an 8 or 9 win streak, I believe. And now here they are losing in Chicago to the Cubs, who were, bottom 5 here in our power rankings. Another story, Bryce Harper with his broken thumb, hopeful for a mid-August return. And Gene Segura, a name that a lot of people probably forgot about. Could he be back this weekend? That would be a huge add to this team for that middle infield as well, especially. But we can't talk about the Phillies without talking about how good Kyle Schwarber has been. 30 home runs, 59 RBIs, and he's kind of having a season like Bryce Harper did last year. Hitting all these home runs and not really getting all these RBIs because no one's on base for him. But sometimes that's what happens when you're hitting leadoff. 12th, we have the Cardinals. they're 2.5 games back for the Brewers from the NL Central, and I'm probably going to talk about that from now till the end of the year because it's just going to be such a good race. Goldschmidt, he's having a career year, 335 average, 24 home runs, 77 RBIs, MVP candidate for sure. Yadier Molina, Harrison Bader, hopefully they're coming back for full strength. And it just got announced Steven Matz is out for the year with the torn left MCL. So that's a huge loss for them as he's been a back end starter for the Cardinals. So they're going to look to add at the deadline, and I think they will. Juan Soto has been linked to them as well. And if they get Soto, they're also going to throw in Corbin because they want to dump his contract. And I think the Cardinals would be a really good fit for that, especially now with losing Matz. 11th, we have the Twins falling out of the top 10, and it seems like it's been a while since they fell out of the top 10. Luis Ariz has a monster year, hitting 341, 413 on base. It's not something sexy, he doesn't have all these home runs, but he's getting the job done, getting on base, and making the other guys kind of hit him in. Joe Ryan, could he win Rookie of the Year with a 2.89 ERA, 73 Ks? He's doing his thing, keeping this Twins team really good. But they have that 3-game lead on Cleveland in AL Central and 4 games on the White Sox. The biggest question moving forward is, can they keep the lead the whole year? Obviously, they have 2 in Milwaukee, and I think that's supposed to be Min, or I don't remember who they're supposed to be playing, but 2 for sure in Milwaukee and 3 somewhere else. But this Twins team, we're gonna have to wait and see if they can just keep it up. Starting our top 10, we got the Seattle Mariners, and respectfully so, I'm dropping them quick. I know they won 14 in a row. Julio Rodriguez, they're being cautious of him, but using the home run derby all-star game, and now he's sitting out games. Something doesn't add up here. I think there's something behind the scenes that we aren't seeing here as to why he's not playing. But they are still 22-6 in the last 28, so I got to give them respect here for the top 10 nod. But another positive note for this team is Mitch Haniger is going to be back this weekend, hopefully, if not early next week. And they're going to need him because this week we got 3 versus Texas, 4 at Houston. And, that Houston series is going to be very pivotal moving forward. 9th, we have the Padres. Tatis, apparently he is nearing a rehab assignment soon, so that could be very well. Will Myers, could he be back as well, too? Juan Soto, of course. This is a team that I think could really pull something off to get him. Maybe give up CJ Abrams and a few bullpen guys and, some prospects as well. They're a team that can get it done, but they have 3 at Detroit and then 3 at home versus Minnesota. The Rays moving up a spot. Yanni Diaz is to thank. He has been hot for the Rays in July. 373 average with 15 RBIs. Wanner and Kiermaier, could they be out till September? Possibly. They're looking at a late August, early September for that timeline for them getting back. And of course, the Rays pitching has been phenomenal. 3.4 ERA, 4th best in the MLB. And that's in part in thanks to the bullpen of them doing really well. Corey Kluber, his signing has been really well too. But they got a big week coming this week and next for that divisional race. As you see, there's 4 at Baltimore, and I believe they play the Yankees next week. I can't remember, but they do play someone in the division next week, and it's going to be, starting to get divisional race all here in the last few months. The Blue Jays, yes, moving up that much. And yeah, they beat Boston, who's fading. I get it, but they've still won 6 straight before the break. Alek Manoah, he's been decent. He's been excellent. 2.24 ERA, 110 Ks, and I think he could be a dark horse to win the Cy Young. And I really think they're going to be buying at the deadline. The only problem is the vaccination status in Canada. You got to be vaccinated to go play there. And obviously, we've seen a lot of guys that aren't vaccinated and haven't played. Obviously, whatever, it's how their rules. But, you got to incorporate to that, and obviously it's something they are going to be thinking about. But they do have 6 games at home this week, so I'm sure that they're going to be playing teams with less guys. Obviously Goldschmidt and Arenado, they are out for St. Louis because they're not vaccinated, so they do get the benefit of that out there, and they will be without the 2 best players. 6th, we have the Brewers moving up a spot, 2.5-game lead on the Cardinals for the NL Central, 3-0 out of the All-Star break, and respectfully so, we got to move them up here, especially getting Freddie Peralta back soon. That could be very good for them. Maybe adding another starting pitcher too. But Hader, it was reported earlier they might be looking to move him. I doubt it. It's probably a false report, but they have 6 games this week to finish up that Colorado series. Then they have Minnesota come in, and then 3 at Boston. And I think that Boston series is going to be really good for both clubs here. Boston needs to prove that they can beat some good teams. and the Brewers need to prove they can go on the road and beat some good teams. Starting our top five, we have the Braves staying pat, 19-9 in their last 28, which has moved them up significantly above these other teams. This top five, I think, are the best five that have a real shot at winning World Series as well. Adam Duvall, though, is out for the year, so expect them to be on the market for an outfielder. Benintendi could be a name the Braves could go for here. Obviously, Acuna and Michael Harris have been really good. Obviously losing Duvall, who's been an everyday guy, it hurts this lineup. And Dansby Swanson, Austin Riley have been absolutely mashing as well. As you can see, their numbers there. Ozzie Albies, on a positive note, he's looking like a mid-August return. Kirby Yates, a name that hasn't been talked about enough. They signed him and hasn't played yet this year. He should be back, I believe, this week. And they have three games at Philly to start the week, so tough divisional opponent. But then they get to close it with Arizona. Fourth, we have the Mets staying put with a 1.5 lead on those Braves for the NL East. DeGrom and Tyler Miguel, are they going to be back for the start of August? It's looking like all signs are pointing to yes. So we finally will get DeGrom's debut if all the rehab goes well. But Chris Bassett and Taijuan Walker have been the unsung heroes so far. I mean, look at those stats right there. They've been, been the workhorses for this Mets team, even when Scherzer went down as well. And when Scherzer gets back, I would not be surprised if, this team is supposed to make the postseason. If they go to a 4-man rotation, throw one of these guys in the bullpen, and if one of those guys, has a bad start, just throws that guy in there because these guys have been so good. But we do get a preview of maybe a little Subway Series, World Series, Tuesday, Wednesday here when they play the Yankees at home. Yes, those Yankees are finally out of that number 1 spot because Houston owns the Yankees. They're 2-5 this year against the Yankees, and they really could be 0-7 because the Yankees have walked it off twice. And that's something to take into account, a stat that will get unnoticed in a few weeks here because I'm assuming the Yankees are going to keep winning as they're, 66-31 on pace for 100 wins easily. And, it's just tough to rank these 3 teams here with them being so good now. But Aaron Judge, obviously, you got to talk about him. He hit 4 home runs, 11 RBIs just last weekend against the Orioles, moving him up to 37 home runs. I mean, dude's probably locked in MVP, in my opinion, already. But the team ERA of 3.08, which is 3rd best in the MLB, has been the surprising stat for me, especially playing in Yankee Stadium. Nestor Cortez, Garrett Cole, those guys have been really good. But another name would be Benintendi again, or Soto possibly. Could they get that done for the Yankees if they're looking to add some depth? The Astros are moving up a spot here, and that's because they're 27-8 in the last 35. What else can I say? This team's won a lot of games in their last 35. I mean, they deserve to move up eventually, right? Well, Jordan has been the key piece, even though he sat out a little bit, put him on the IL a little before that All-Star break, and then they activated him right after. He's been on a tear. I mean, 307, 28 home runs, 65 RBIs, and it's going to be him or Judge that wins MVP at this point. JV probably going to win another Cy Young. But Christian Javier is the unsung hero that no one's talking about. 3.13 ERA, 115 Ks, and this dude started in the bullpen this year, and now he's a starter, full-time starter, and absolutely doing his thing. And that's something you like to see. And at 1, we have the Dodgers finally getting back on top for their 7th time, and everything's clicking. They've won 8 games in a row, 19-2 in their last 21, and that huge lead on the Padres for the NL West, and I don't see them giving that up anytime soon. Top 3 in every stat category. I mean, all signs are pointing to this team being, a World Series team. And not to mention they get Andrew Heaney, Blake Trinan, and Dustin May possibly back this weekend, or early next week as well at the latest. Just more depth they're going to get to this team and make them even better. 3 games this week versus the Nationals, 4 at Colorado. Sounds like a very easy week, probably 6-1, 5-2 at worst. And expect these Dodgers to be here next week if, that happens. But that's going to be it for the video today. Make sure you guys hit that like button, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. But until the next time, the Bench Buddies are out.